Welcome to Deep Thought. Under the spell of the masked life. Under the spell of the masked life. What's a masked life? Where you wearing the mask, or you trying to follow the mask, or present a mask, but it's not authentic to who you are. You know, you could be like, you got families out there, you see their house. You see their house, and you know, it's a big house, little mini mansion, you know, nice manicured lawn. And you know, the parents look clean cut and everything. The kids look very perfect. But then when you scratch under the surface, it's a lot of nastiness. It's a lot of nastiness, you know. The father fooling around, got a mistress. The mother, she fooling around, got a young boy. The kid's on some type of drugs, you know. And it's not the perfection. But what's the spell? The spell is what the media promotes. The media. They promote a certain image, and then people uphold that image. They'll say, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. In fact, it's not just the media. It could be in your churches. It can be in your social environment. It could be at your school. A lot of people say, well, this is how you're supposed to look. This is how you're supposed to dress. But the problem with it is you have the theys promoting it, and it's not necessarily some metaphysical secret society or something. It could be someone sitting in a corporate boardroom. It could be just the propaganda behind things. I want y'all to think about that. I want y'all to really, really think about that. Like if people want to make money, what they do is manufacture or program people to want to buy stuff. Advertising is programming. There's a lot of stuff we'll buy and we really don't need it. But, you know, they'll say, hey, this doctor said this is important, or this is what everybody is doing. Or in fact, when you look at the movies are actually big commercials. In fact, TV programs, if you think about it, if you look at how TV began, they were selling something and entertaining. So they'll have you watching it, but then they'll have product placement. Like on IG, there's a lot of people who will wear something, you know, they have a paid sponsorship with someone just to wear something. That's to influence people. But all of it is the mask. In fact, if you're talking about IG or TikTok, you know, you'll see somebody on there and, you know, someone real popular. It could be a dude driving, you know, a fancy car, or a woman and she's looking ultra beautiful. That's still a mask. That's not how she really looks. But then other people, here's where the spell comes in. People think something's wrong with them because the man will think he don't have that car. The woman will think, well, she don't look like that gorgeous woman, you know? And then it's like, well, how do you answer that? Well, shoot, some guys, it's like, oh, they got to work extra, maybe do work on a job they don't really like. It's not for them. You know, they could be educated working on some six-figure job, but really, they want to work lower because they under the spell. You know, I remember this woman I met, and she was living with this guy, and she had a problem with him. And this is in the 90s. She had a problem. He didn't get a degree to get $5,000 more. In 90s money, that was a lot. There's a lot these days, really. But he was happy doing what he wanted, but she was all into the spell of what he should have been doing. Like if we get people saying, well, you should be walking around like this. I remember when I was in school, there was a woman I dealt with, and she thought I had a problem because I didn't walk around with an arrogant nose up in my ear type of vibe. Because she would say, you know, with your education, what you're doing, you should be like this and everything, you know. She didn't like I was like that, and it had nothing to do with the education. She thought I should have been bougie. And I wasn't bougie. I was just authentic. But she was under the spell of the masked life. In fact, that even affects relationships. Some people think, okay, the woman needs to look like this icon. You got women thinking, well, the guy has to be six figures and look like this icon. That's a spell, because how often do you see that? I've challenged the women. Well, how often do you see that 6 foot, 6-figure dude with that high education? How often do you personally see that? They exist, but you got to be in a certain environment. Or you talk to the guys, that part of their mass life is wanting that icon, that perfect dime. But, if you just to peruse social media or just YouTube, you can find pics of these women without makeup on. Like I saw something, it was showing some famous actresses, and quite a few of them had freckles. But if you see their faces otherwise, you don't see any blemishes. That's a masked life. And, I'm going to tell you what, that's a problem. Because then people have self-esteem issues because they don't look like the mask. They don't look like that. They don't have that perfect body, that perfect being, And it's an interesting dynamic. It really is. It's an interesting dynamic because, like I said, it's not necessarily some evil secret society. They working on other stuff, y'all. It could just be a corporation. It could be some dude. It could be like a bunch of corporate executives who look nothing like the images they promoting, but they selling it. They making money. It's about stock. It's about the, making their fourth quarter profit projection. And then of course some other people. You got some people, they use it in religion. Yeah, they'll say, hey, you have to behave this way. It's so deep. And, I've talked before, like so many of us, all of us really, are wearing some type of mask. I'm going to say all of us. Now, I can honestly say I've taken off most of my masks. Most. But there's still one I kind of keep. And it's not out of fear or anything. It's just, you don't need to see the Rom's dark side. But we all have it. But see, some people, it's intense. It's like, oh, you don't have this car. Like imagine, I'm gonna tell you what, especially with the middle class, a lot of them are middle class because they put their money into looking like they got money. They'll buy a boat that they'll use twice a year, if that. They'll have a nice driveway, but they'll fix it up even more. It's called keeping up with the Joneses. The neighbor, they put a pool in the backyard. Got to put a pool in the backyard. That's part of the mass life too. You probably don't even swim that much, so what you need the pool for? When you're doing something, trying to keep up a certain image. And so many are under that spell. But it might not be them. Like got a bigger spot. And I was going through a store and I saw all this stuff, all this extra stuff. But anybody who knows me, because me, authentic, I don't like a lot of stuff where I live. In fact, my next spot after this, probably my more permanent spot, it's going to be big but half empty. I don't like a lot of stuff. But the mask life thing would say, oh, you got to put furniture here, you got to put pictures here and stuff. Under the mask life, but under the authentic life, I like space. And as long as you do what's authentic, that's good. Now, if it's authentic for you to fill a place up with something, a lot of extra stuff, every space, every wall filled. Okay. That's fair. That's actually fair. If it's authentic. But if you're under the spell of the mask, you're going to do stuff that you don't want to do. There's many people who buy stuff they don't need. My dear grandmother, rest her soul, I remember she had gotten this fancy stereo, which she didn't know how to use, but she wanted it. And I thought about that. It was like, well, me and my sister would use the stereo, but she had no idea how to program, but she had to get it. That's the mask right there. You get stuff you don't really need to keep up with the Joneses or to look a certain way. Yeah, that's the spell of the mask. And I would just say this. You got to take that mask off as best as possible. Like I said, even Rom, he got a certain mask he's wearing. And I just say it's to keep y'all from seeing something that would make you lose some sleep. Ooh, stomach. I gotta eat more in the morning. Anyway, I want y'all to think about that, all right? So many of us are under that mask. Fight to do what I do. Just fight to remove as much of it as possible. Remove as much of it. So, anyway, that's all I have for today. Get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.